Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Peaceful Growth. I have a very special guest today. They both are very successful founders of a digital agency, which is focused on not WordPress, but TYPO3. If you haven't heard TYPO3, it's also an open source CMS. And there are very few players who actually do really good work in TYPO3, and these two young entrepreneurs have built an amazing business on TYPO3 CMS. So I'm going to ask them a lot of different questions about why they picked TYPO3 and what kind of success they have built. And we will also talk a lot about, especially for the young entrepreneurs, what you can learn from these two young entrepreneurs about building a digital business in with a lot of odd situations. So they both have a very humble beginning, and they grew up pretty much kind of like a slum area, and despite all the odds, they have built an amazing business. And I'm very, very excited and honored to have these two young guests here. So let me invite Nitin Chauhan and Sanjay Chauhan from NITSAN Technologies. Hi, Nitin. Hi, Sanjay.
Hey, Anil.
Hi, Anil.
Guys, I'm so excited to have you both here. I've been trying to get you on this podcast, specifically, not just because we are friends. All right, so sidebar story that Nitin and Sanjay, we have also been a college friends. Actually, in a college, we went to the same college. And
Right.
after that, we also have been in touch. And when my friend and business partner, Aslam, him and I, we were trying to start our WordPress-based agency, Multidots. Nitin and Sanjay has been growing their business. So we have been friends, but the reason I invited both of them here today is because they have built an amazing business on TYPO3, and there is a lot that we can learn from them. So Sanjay, Nitin, where should we start? Should we start with your story?
Yeah,
How did you start it?
Maybe we can start with some teenage story. It's time.
All right,
don't-
let's do it.
Yeah, we can start. Maybe Nitin
with the
can start.
introductions, maybe we can begin with that.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself and your business. Yeah.
First of all, Anil, thank you very much. Thanks a lot for having me and Sanjay here. It's been a pleasure to be a part of your podcast. I am not a regular, but casual listener, watchers of your podcast, and I really appreciate the kind of insights you're bringing to the business and young entrepreneurs. I really appreciate it. And about my introductions, I'm Nitin Chauhan. I'm a CEO and founding director of NITSAN Technologies Private Limited and Tithi Planet. I'm owning a business from a very small town from Gujarat. It's called Bhavnagar. That's where Anil and me and Sanjay all are brought up. I born and brought up here, so it's like hometown, not exactly, but it's home. Like everything is belong to the same city here. So there was something in our mind, like why not to develop a kind of ecosystem, business ecosystem here in our town. So that's why we started a business. It's called more web business, because since the college time, me and Sanjay was really interested on some web techs. So initially, therefore, we decided to build a kind of company or kind of organizations where we get the good developers here and we bring the employment here, basically. And about my introduction, so like what we do or I do in company, like I'm managing most like business stuff, sales kind of things, and I'm assisting, helping to the accounting and human resource operations. In team size, we are like mostly 40 people, more than 40 people right now.
Okay. And what's your role, Sanjay, in your company?
Hey Anil, thank you very much. I don't want to say the same thing about the thanks words, right? Because you guys are doing really amazing with the Learn Plus Grow and
Thank you, man.
I'm always read all your blogs and everything. I'm the CTO of NITSAN Technologies. I'm handling the technical part and the productions, right? And I love TYPO3. That's one word from my end. And thank you.
And Sanjay is our the real TYPO3 guru in our team.
Nice. Great. So guys, why don't you tell a little bit about how big is your business, number of clients, team, anything that will help us to understand where NITSAN Technology is right now and how big your business is.
Why not? It's of course a super exciting to share like what we are right now to the someone, and of course your audience will definitely love to see that how we've been grown up since like we founded in 2011, so almost like 12 years now. And the company, the purpose of founding something like to create employment here in our town and to create a business steps. Okay. So it's like 12 years now, and since we started working on lots of other things like all the founders do at the beginning of their business, work on different technology stacks. Like for 1 year we have done the same thing: Joomla, WordPress, Gen framework, CI, YII. But when it comes to the TYPO3, we found that it's a bit different, and we believe our belief is that it's in real terms of CMS. Okay, and there is a very niche market or very specific market there in Germany, and therefore we decided to choose the TYPO3 as well to go as our core expertise to build something there exactly in a TYPO3. Okay, in team size we are 40 plus in our town. We have different people working on business development, project management, TYPO3 developers, integrators, Q as well, human resource, account, just like the usual stuff with every company they have. And about the clients, like I told you that the TYPO3 is our core expertise, and TYPO3 is basically very much popular in Dutch-speaking areas like Austria, Switzerland, Germany is taking the more part of the TYPO3. So like the business is mostly focused on the German industries, German business. About the kind of clients we are working or the kind of projects we are working, it's like small to large scale of enterprise of the projects we have been working on. I want to share some of the good websites which has been developed in TYPO3. It's like Emirates, PaySafe, Mitwald, Wyland, and CNTY. I want to share two more insights about these projects. Like PaySafe is basically like a payment solution provider. Okay, is like just like a PayPal. It's very well known to the world now. So PaySafe is also doing kind of payment gateway kind of stuff. And I'm really proud to say that we NITSAN has developed the website for the PaySafe, and it's a TYPO3 award winner agency. Okay, won the best website award for the PaySafe in 13th TYPO3 conference was organized in Berlin. So we are the one who developed the website, and we are the one who is holding the awards. And if I'm not wrong, that we are the only one who is holding this TYPO3 award in Asia. Okay.
Wow.
If I'm not wrong, that it's a fact that.
That's true.
Yeah.
In terms of I love it. I love it, Sanjay, Nitin, that everything that you are sharing here, specifically if I, let's say in TYPO3, or any particular niche where you have built a great brand, and some of the awards that you mentioned about the TYPO3 award, and you're also certified silver member. And if I have been following some of your company updates, and what I know that you are also a great contributor. You and your team has been contributing in TYPO3 CMS, which is an amazing thing. I think WordPress is very popular open source content management system, and one of the reason is because of the people around the world who contribute into the open source platform and make it better. So I'm glad that you guys are also doing that. And yeah, congratulations on building an amazing business. And some of the client name that you mentioned, PaySafe, Emirates, it's amazing to see that this kind of like big companies are using TYPO3 CMS. So that actually brings me to the next question, that what is TYPO3 and how it is different from the WordPress, and why some of these companies, they pick TYPO3 or WordPress?
I would better suggest that our TYPO3 guru will answer on the situations.
Yeah, I think everything.
Nice, go ahead.
I was on that. Maybe you get a personal talk first, but I'm excited to let you show, why do you focus? Why we focus on TYPO3, right? That's a really good question, because the point is that I want to share some numbers so you can get better idea. Like for example, in the worldwide, there is only 0.8% global market share of the TYPO3. right? So around
Mm.
700,000 websites are in the Typo 3, right?
It's a very tiny market compared to WordPress, which is 48%. And
That's a fact.
exactly.
Mm.
And the Germany is one of the biggest country who hold the Typo 3 share with the 15% of whole country, right? And the good thing is that recently, in one of the Forbes advisor posts, Typo 3 has been chosen for the best for extension library with 8,400 extension, right? Which all of them are free. I think that's one of the reasons they choose, right? And again, I want to mention about the popularity with big names, But then when people said, okay, what is Typo 3? Who use that, right? Then it should be fair that we should have a big name. Like Emirates is one of that. One of that is Lufthansa,
Yeah.
and that's airlines, right? PaySafe. Then we have Airbus, Thomas Cook, Carlsberg, Pearson. These are the big names who use the Typo 3 for the main site, for the intranet applications, and there are some various things, right? Now I'm coming to your point why we choose the Typo 3, right? So first is the open source, of course. That's one of the biggest reason. We love the open source whenever we think like to do the business or anything, right? Because it's free and it's the nature of open source. I think knows very well more than that, right? Like you work with corporates. And the second point is choosing the Typo 3 is a community. The Typo 3 is not a big community. There are less people, but they are really lovely people. I've mostly met with them 4 to 5 times in the Europe, and those people are really helpful and passionate to do something different in CMS, right? So that's one thing I love. And third point is that Typo 3 have the capability to make a small to enterprise class site, right? For example, I'm not comparing WordPress. If you allow, I can compare. Shall I compare WordPress?
Yeah.
Because that's sometimes very crazy to the people, right? To compare CMS. But like, for example, in Typo 3, security is one of the concern. Like it's a little bit, understandable that if you have a less site, then of course the hackers will not try to
Target
them, right? But not the only one point, but the framework and the base of Typo 3 is so strong. If someone is trying to do that, it's really difficult. Like there is one report on the CMS market. Maybe the shukuri.net.
Yes.
Maybe, So there is a report that with the competition, Typo 3 wins it. They try to hack all the CMS and check like what are the. It's not about the hackers, but it's about ethical hacks, right? So there was a report that Typo 3 is one of the safest CMS because of the robust concrete base of the CMS, right? The second is the performance, the speed and performance. There was a report from the Chrome UX in 2019, I think, that the FCP, I think it's a little bit technically point, but the performance of the Typo 3 was the first rank measure, right? So these are the 2 points which has been proven by the big names that like if you compare the WordPress, Joomla, Drupal, or Typo 3, core things are into very well, right? And I want to talk about the enterprise feature, as I mentioned. Why Typo 3? You can make not just a blog, but you can make the big enterprise things, right? Because Typo 3 core have the all the features which is needed for the enterprise. For example, multilingual, multi-site, MFA or users and users and roles, right? So if you talk about the WordPress, you need an X number of plugins to achieve all these things, right? But with Typo 3's beauty is that in the core you found all the basics for the enterprise things, right? So that's one thing we love and choose the Typo 3, right?
Nice. Great. No, I think you pointed out some of the very unique features or applications of Typo 3, and that's my understanding is in the entire CMS world. that if you look at the WordPress, Drupal, Joomla, they all have certain kind of flavor, and it also appeal to a very different group of businesses and customers, as you mentioned, that TYPO3, because the base is more like Germany, so probably the Germany, Europe, so it will be much more suitable for the European market. But of course, people are using outside the Europe as well, but it has been designed and built keeping the European markets and European needs. And I think that's kind of where I see a lot of these CMSs, when they start it, they start with to solve one certain kind of industry problem or a culture problem or country problem, and then it evolve and expand from that. So all right, so my
reverse, because for example, WordPress was initiated as a blogger tool, right?
Correct.
Just writing the blog. But the TYPO3 founded in 1998, one of the oldest CMS. But the base was we want to give all ideal features, which is suitable from small to enterprise, right? For example, if you talk about the multi-site or multilingual kind of feature, in other CMS you found a lot of alternatives, and that's really chaos, right? It should be there within the CMS.
Right.
Like there are different plugins and different approach. Every time you need to learn and adopt all these things, right? But with the TYPO3, it's in the core. So, all developers don't need to learn other things, right? Other frameworks or other plugins, right? So that's the beauty, I think.
Yeah, no, it's a really good thing. And that's something that I have also seen the differences and the discussions going on in the WordPress community as well. I think WordPress right now doesn't have the multilingual feature inbuilt, so you have to get an install, another plugin or extension or something like that. But yeah, that's kind of where we were talking about the differences, right? Because if CMS is built in Europe, where they have multiple different language, people speak multiple different language, then they would think multilingual default, from the beginning. And here, WordPress, the US, I think, pretty much everyone speak English, and maybe another language will be the Spanish. So then the multilingual might be an afterthought. It will not be the first thought. All right, let's move on to the next question. So I think this question is more for you, Nitin, that where a lot of businesses Multidots and TYPO3, one thing that I have seen, and this is very helpful for any young entrepreneurs who are starting their business, right? Which is that starting a business, creating a business, hiring some of the people, that's not that difficult. I think difficult part, always what I have experienced, is getting that first 5-10 customers, right? Because once you have 10 customers, then you have a portfolio, then you have some names that you can showcase, then you know how it works. But getting that first 10 customers is the most challenging struggle for a lot of entrepreneurs who are starting out. And that's why I always ask this question to all my guests. And it's the same question for you too. How did you get your first, let's say, 10 customers in your business?
Well, I guess we didn't follow any exact rocket science. We followed the same which all the beginners, entrepreneurs follow. We started our business with the ethics that to work on our bigger customers and enterprise level projects. We started, the journey was begin with initial freelancing portals. Okay, that was our core source. So how we started our business over there. Of course, we started working only on the TYPO3 at the beginning, but we focus on more that how we get the business on that. Freelancing is the side. Couple of things we started working on. LinkedIn business is that we have to accept the fact that the TYPO3 community and the projects, the requirement is very small. Okay, it's very more limited to Germany or mostly to the speaking areas. And there is a very small pie, and we have to take our pie. Okay, so in the case, I have to be very sure that how I can attract more customers. Okay, and in the beginning, our target was never been to reach to end customers. It's always been the digital agency we have been targeting. Okay, mostly try and focus at how we can be helpful developers, how we can provide the manpowers here that the digital agencies from Germany or anyone is looking for. That's something I believe, instead of finding the end customers, better to be at the beginning said, better to be dependent on the freelancing portals or user networks. Whatever you build on the social media or maybe on the LinkedIn platforms, somewhere. That's where at least you have to be begin on that. And initial phase, the most important thing is that don't look for the money. That's supposed to become at the end, maybe after a couple of years. At least for the now, you more focus on building your customer there, more build up of the brand values, create more quality, more productivity. That's what the customer is looking for whenever you're at the beginning stage. The money, the last of thing will be follow after a couple of years. But that's you have to struggle a lot at the beginning stage. That's a fact.
I want to add one point. It's really important, interesting for some of the people. Actually, when you say, okay, we are this and that, it doesn't work at the starting. We know very well, right? So at the starting of our career, I choose the TYPO3 and try to make a personal brand. Like if you are contributing to something, people will know you. You can't say, okay, I have completed these 10 projects. It's not possible, right, at the starting of it. But you can say, like, I have contributed to this extension, for example, or I have contributed to this core page, right? So people start noticing you that, okay, even if you are in the starting phase, but you have the potentiality, right? People try to approach you. Let's start with some basics or some initial small project, right? So that was that was one point about the personal branding. Once you use your personal branding, it will help to your company's profile, right?
But if you want to build, of course, a million brand agency, it's not going to be only dependent on the freelancing portals for initial couple of euros of the project. It's not going to be dependent on that.
Correct. Yeah, but I also like the approach that you mentioned, that especially in the beginning, when you don't have any portfolio, you don't have any experience, no one knows you, right? Like when you're starting a company, none of, like, on your website, it's also brand new. There is much that's going on that you can say. They're like, hey, I have like 5 years of experience. So one thing that you mentioned, Sanjay, which is like as a founder, your personal brand, kind of like that's what you put in. Like, hey, my company is new, but I have 5 years, 10 years, 7 years of experience in TYPO3, right? So I think that's very important, that as a founder, you need to put in your story in the front, because people are going to invest into your story, because your business is new, but you are not new. You already have an experience in this field.
We have implemented 3 things. One was the writing blog about TYPO3, because in 2011 or before that, everything was in German. So we get a benefit that we write in English, right? So people get, okay, that's really nice. People are doing blog writing was one thing. The extension development for free plugins and extension, and the third was the core contribution, right? So these are some a quick pickup for the people that, okay, these guys have a knowledge, we should try them, and once they get it and we get first successful project, then we get more chance, right? So
I love it.
Yeah.
So let's summarize.
Something that we have to commit that we have the biggest knowledge base of TYPO3. Like, you have any questions, anything, you will easily found it on our blogs on PT Planet or
I think Nitin is trying to say, if you write TYPO3 with any words in the first rank, you will see our website.
That's great. Yeah.
Like, not only to create the business from the TYPO3, but give back to the community as well. That's what the motto following.
I think we have put down throughout the year 500 blogs on the TYPO3.
Wow.
It's a kind of knowledge based, and people get the knowledge, right? So that's what
Yeah. So I think so let's summarize some of the takeaways, right? So the first one that I can say is, focus on instead of business, focus on your, as a founder, your strength, your story, and your experience. Put that forward through blog, through videos, or however way that you can kind of like share and showcase that you are expert in this topic, right? So that's number one. Number two, I think, which I would also say that you guys have done really well, and I think it was one of the very intelligent decision, which is when you are starting out, don't try to enter into a market which is already saturated and like very competitive. For example, the WordPress, if you try to stand out in a WordPress space right now, it will be very difficult because there are so many players in WordPress, and then if you're just starting out, it will be very hard. But let's say when you're starting your business, like brand new, and then finding a platform or a technology or a CMS or market or industry, however we define it, which is not that competitive, which is very new. And that's something that what Sanjay, you mentioned about it. Because of that, like, you were able to to create a lot of content, and that content was also ranking on the Google because there was not that many people who are writing about TYPO3. And third thing I would say, which I think Nitin, you brought it up in the beginning, that don't focus on the money in the beginning. I think it's very important that we focus on building the brand and portfolio. And I think that is something which is very important that and I think we can do that because in the beginning there are not that many operations cost, right? So it's not like you have to pay, let's say 20 people in the beginning, and right. So Multidots, when we started, Aslam and I started, we started with the same thinking, like I think if I remember correctly, I got my first client by just doing a free work, So I found this project that they wanted to do it, and I just built the project myself, and then I shared like, hey, whatever you're looking for, I built it. If you want it, give me $200, and I'll give you the source code. And I recorded like a little video and show him like, look, I have already built what. So a lot of people will try to like, hey, I can build your functionality in 3 days or 2 days, and they will be. It's like a promise. So I was like, there's nothing to lose. For example, if the person says like, okay, I don't want your work, I don't want to pay you $200, or like I didn't even ask you to build it, at that moment, like there's nothing to lose, right? I will learn. I was a developer and I love coding, so I was like, I'll just build it and show it. And that is something that I have seen is also one of the very effective strategy in the beginning, especially if you want to you can't do it forever, but yes, in the beginning when there is not that much to lose, and to get your first 5-10 customers, just try to give it out for free samples, or give it in a way so that they can see your work, and then they will start paying you at some stage.
Yeah, perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to the next question. So next question I have, which is, you both can answer, which is, you mentioned you started this business in 2012 or 11?
11, yeah.
11, right? So it has been roughly 12 years in the business, right?
Yeah.
So, what are some of the advice that you would give to young entrepreneurs who are just starting their business?
Right. Well, I think first let me answer the same questions on that. Like whenever you have your basically the business is your brainchild. Okay, you have to take care in a way that you are not starting a business just to earn the money. Okay, it's gonna be your child. You have to take care in all the aspects of that. So first, the advice, or either I want to be what I implemented in my entrepreneur journey is that be a risk taker. Okay, at the beginning you don't have to lose anything, so take the maximum risks. That's what the basic thing, like whatever you have to do. The second, which is really most important, it's not only for the beginners or for the expansion as well. It's to keep learning. Okay, if you have the skill, if you have the talent for the one scale, then you have to expand it. Of course, like you want to business, you start your business and you want to expand it a certain level. You have to keep learning the things. Market is going changing every time, every day, and you have to be prepared yourself. So learning is going like infinite process. Okay, that's the basic two things I really want to advise for whoever's been listening to me or want to implement something for my journey as well. Be a risk taker and keep learning yourself.
No, that's a very beautiful piece of advice. What about you, Sanjay? What would you say?
I think we have the same thoughts, right? But I think the most important is that you should try not with a blank mind, right? That okay, I have a good pay on my salary. For example, I'm doing job, right? And suddenly one night I got a thought that I want to move, right? I don't want to say that thing. It's a good idea, right? You should try to prepare the plan. Like, okay, if you want to switch from job to entrepreneur, you should have a plan, right? You should create your SWOT analysis, for example, right? So you can prepare for the next 6 months or 1 year without, getting this, problems or disturbance with your family, right? It's not like you're free. When we watch the movie, then you got some hoops, right? Okay, I want to do this and that, right? So I think that's one thing, because in India, a lot of people are failed. It's just about the planning. They start blank mind and they stuck it and they just go back to the job, right? So that's one thing for the new people, right? Then by experience you will get everything knows when your business start and get 5, 10, 20 people. Years or experience will learn you. That's for sure, right? One more thing, if you are in the techies, right? That's what I learned, that just don't focus on all of the time with the techies, right? Technical stuff. You should also focus at a business mindset. Like I'm coming from the computer engineering, and my mind, 99% mind is running as a mechanical on like an engineering or programming, right? But when you start with entrepreneur, there are a lot of other things, right? So you should try to learn and understand like how the people's behavior, like what are the HR things, what are the accountings, what are the cultural things, right? Because most of the IT people have a good technical expertise, but that they don't have a business mindset, right? That's one thing I want to add.
Yeah, and I think it's a very, very good good thing that you are pointing out, Sanjay, that what happens is that when it comes to technology, whether it's TYPO3, WordPress, underlying is a code, right? So PHP and JavaScript and bunch of other programming languages. So which is, I'm not saying that it's very easy to learn, but it is something that anyone can learn if they have a passion. Like, because it's not going to change. It's very it's structured for mass distribution and mass learning, right? But on the other side, soft skills, like how you process how you actually solve a problem, how you process a decision, how you communicate something in a more effective way. So those are like the bunch of different soft skill, and there is no any like right or structured way of teaching it and learning it. So that is something that's very personal. That's also very experimental, right? It's something that experiential and experimental. So what I mean by that, like experiential, like it's something that you need to experience it. You can't just read a book on public speaking and you become an expert in public speaking, right? You have to experience it. You need to practice it, and you have to practice it in a different setup, and eventually that you will become better at that. So I think you point out a really good point that in order to be successful as an entrepreneur, if you are very good at technology, focus more on soft skill. If you are really good at soft skill, focus on technology, but kind of have a combination of both. I have this advice that I tell everyone that if you are more like a yoga person, do more strength workout. And if you're more like a strength workout person, do more yoga workout, like that's something that's very important. That's kind of like balance we are talking about. So same thing applies here as well.
Okay guys, so if you're interested to check out how Multicollab works and how Multicollab can solve your problems or improve your content publishing workflow, you can go to our website and click on the Try Demo tab in the menu section. Then simply fill out your details and there you go. Now you have access to the demo environment where you can test all the amazing features that Multicollab has to offer.
All right, so next question I have is, as you know, this is a Peaceful Growth podcast, and one of the one of my focus and my mission is to learn from the other entrepreneurs like you, that how you actually define and process the peaceful growth. So we all want to grow in our life, and there are multiple paths that can take us to the growth. And the path that is most sustainable for the long run is a path where you don't burn out. Burnout means like something if you are doing really, really mentally, physically, something that we are doing that we can't sustain, 5 years, 10 years. And that's something that I also remind myself that I haven't started this business to run only for 5 years or 10 years. I started this business because I really love this. I love this, and that's why I started it. And I've been doing it for last 14 years, and I want to continue doing this. And in order to do that, I need to be fit mentally and physically, and in a best shape. So that's why peaceful growth comes into the picture. So my version of the peaceful growth is how I define the strategies and the goals in my life, which helps me grow, but also it does not compromise my peace, my health, and a lot of other aspects of my life. So that's kind of like my version of peaceful growth. And the same question I have for you, like what do you think about peaceful growth, and what's your version of peaceful growth?
Right? Yeah, you can say.
Well, for me, like the question is very lies on how is your lifestyle as well. What
Hmm.
what you need in your life. What is your priority? Okay,
Hmm.
do you need something which is costing after all your health life, your mental health, or your physical health? Do you need that or not? It's about how your priority.
Hmm.
Once you find your priority, then the peaceful growth or peace or like work-life balance will not going to be matter. It's up to you after all. For
Hmm.
me, what how I'm measuring my peaceful growth or like how I'm balancing my work or life is that something personally I really don't believe on that. Like
Okay.
you can't balance exactly your work and life. That's what by the way my belief is that whenever you are following your passion, your hobby, there is no hurdles, no barriers, no mental health problems, nothing is that.
Hmm.
Everything gives you the happiness. Okay,
Hmm.
after your passion gives you the happiness, your hobby gives you the happiness. So there
Hmm.
is not something like that you're gonna be disturb your lifetime. Like there was a hectic day. It's one
Hmm.
of you today. So how you gonna
Hmm.
be manage your personal life is that there is a priority. Now you are working on your office. Give the 100% to that. Give the 100% time the prior to your office stuff. When you have the weekends, give the time to your family. It's how you.
Hmm.
In fact, when you leave the office, you don't have something the burden in your head as well when it's gonna be shared with your family. You have to
Yeah.
keep your office stuffs in your office and the family stuffs in your office because we
Hmm.
know that we Indian have the bigger families we have compared to other countries. We have different problems of the families as well. So we don't
Yeah.
have to bring those problems to the office as well, and the office problems should not bring to the home. Okay. And
Hmm.
in conclusion, I want to say that in facing that, if you're happy on doing something, you're growing every day. That's not going to be a disturbing or the problematic for you. Right? That's what my belief is like that. Yeah?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, I love that definition. And I think I have heard that from the other guest in the past too when I asked the question. The summary is that yeah, like when you love something, when you are super passionate about it, you don't feel tired, you don't feel exhausted, you don't feel stressed. And there is another analogy as well that, like, say, if you are trying to climb the wrong mountain, right? So there are two mountains that you can climb,
Yeah.
and if you know in that, okay, I like a mountain where there are, let's say, green trees and there are some animals in there, there is a little water in there, and there is another mountain which is like rocky and deserty and there is no tree, there is like, it's very sunny there, and when you try to climb that, so in both the cases, that if you're trying to climb the wrong mountain, then doesn't matter how hard you work or you don't work, you will feel tired, exhausted, and unhappy about it. But if you know that, okay, this is my mountain, and I'm excited about climbing it, then that effort, the journey, the struggle, that all becomes a part of your peaceful growth. Then it does not add any stress in your life. In fact, it adds more happiness and more purpose and more joy. And I think that's what you're trying to say, Nitin, that if you work on your passion, then, and if you're really passionate about it, then that's your version of peaceful growth.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. I
Makes
think
sense.
it's more or less Indian philosophy,
Hmm.
right? All the saints of the Hindus and Indians believe that when you
Hmm.
work with your love, right? What you
Hmm.
work with your love, right? You never get tired, right? You will have
Hmm.
always more peace. If you work with the 20 hours of your, liking things, and you will never
Hmm.
get tired, right? That's how Indian philosophy works.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
think this is trying to say around
In
that.
fact, I have to admit that I'm not sure about the other entrepreneurs that how they are facing the problem with the industrial journey. We
Hmm.
face lots of, or rather, we struggle a lot at the beginning. That how we
Hmm.
started working here. Bhavnagar is really very small town. We have to struggle a lot to
We
finding
have
the
a lot of
resources.
peace here.
Yeah, internet connections. I'm talking about the matters of the decade ago. We have internet,
Right.
the electricity as well. In fact, the
Hmm.
resource has never been a train. You can
It's
find kind of things.
before 10 years
So
ago.
it's more like we struggle a lot on that. Although we are not, we at the end of like 12 years or 13, we are not feeling
Hmm.
ourselves exhausted. We are tired of doing this. We are
Hmm.
really happy and we are damn proud of our chapter, what we have built in
Hmm.
last 12 years. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. And one thing I will add into that, which also I don't want listeners to to get a wrong message from us here, that when you're starting something new, especially when your business is brand new, you're starting, oh, not just business, but let's say if it applies to learning, or starting a business, starting a new job. In the beginning phase, you have to put in a lot of efforts. So that is where, you have to work hard. We have to maybe work long hours and all those stuff. But after a while, when you have built on a foundation, like, after putting continue doing for crazy 14, 16 hours a day, it's not going to sustain. Doesn't matter how much you love your work, but at some point, your body will start, like, your health will start diminishing, your relationship, and a lot of different things will start compromising, right? So I don't advise that as well. Like, in the beginning, when you know that, you go with a mindset like, okay, for the first 2 years, 3 years, 6 months or 2 months, I'm prepared mentally and physically that I have to put a lot of efforts. And that's what I did it. And you guys did it, and Aslam, and we all did it when we were starting our business. We worked for crazy hours, 12 hours, 14 hours. We worked on the weekend, but once we have built a certain level of success, once we have built a foundation, I think we also need to pay attention to do this more for a long run, and that is where making sure that we are taking care of our health and habits and routine in a way so that we can continue to do it for a longer run. And that brings me to the next question: that what kind of routine or habits that you both maintain in order to keep yourself fit mentally and physically to run the business?
Okay, I'm really interested to answer this first. That we have very, very, very fixed, flexible, or like a kind of set of routines that initially my day started in the waking up at 7 o'clock in the morning. That's what my working time. I had a coffee, and the one thing is really I miss every day, or like I cannot start my day without it's reading a newspaper. Okay, that's very
And you still
common.
read like physical, actual newspaper or digital newspaper?
Not the actual newspaper.
Gujarat Samachar.
I need a half cup of coffee and my newspaper. That's if I not.
Are you a coffee person, Nitin, or tea person?
I'm a coffee person.
It looks like you are retired, man.
Small coffee. That's a small coffee in holiday. That's it. I do not drink the coffee, some more tea in holiday. So that's how the day start. I feel like something is not begin with the day if I don't read the newspaper or even I don't have coffee. At least I can manage the coffee, but newspaper is not something in our life. Okay. So I do after that I do generally start with some physical activities, like I do the cardio of 20-30 minutes every day, like some walking, some jumping jacks, and some basic exercise which gives you the stamina and makes you fit for the whole day. Right? And I have one I have one goal which I have started to set on since like 2021. Like I want to draw at least a bricks walking by the way at 10,000 steps every day. And if I look at my mobile, and when I see that how many steps average I'm covering, it's like 9,000 steps. It's average. I'm almost near to my goal, which I set on the 2021. Like whole year, if you look at the average steps, it's 9,000 steps. So it's very common that like how I'm spending the time and the energy for my physical health. After that, regarding the work and office stuff, I have a monthly schedule as well. Like I follow the Trello, where I have the very things which is defined, like this is the higher priority thing, this is the low priority things, and weekly and monthly plans. So I have, before I begin to my daily schedule, I have something in mind, like I have to do this. It's very clear, and that's why I don't have to define when I reach to the office. So like 70-80% office stuff is very clear in my Trello board. The rest of 20-30% is something it comes according to case when the customers want something where there is some team related things, some undefined meetings, some unplanned meetings are there. That's something how I've been doing that. And one more thing which is also I'm following daily is like reading. Okay. And like spending at least minimum 30 minutes every day. Okay. So that the time I found is generally after my lunch. Okay, we have a bunch of 1 or 1.5 hour lunch period here. So after my lunch, I keep walking on my office, and people can see that I was reading the books. I always have the books, and therefore I have built my own library as well in my office, that I can have my books always. That whatever the books I like, I have always in my desk as well. So whenever the lunch finish, after a couple of minutes, I start walking. At least 30-45 minutes walk, and the book reading is like daily habit in my
Love it. Yeah, I'll come back to the books, but Sanjay, is there any part of your routine that you do
Yeah.
to maintain?
Yeah, I'm early bird guy, not 5 a.m., but around 6 or 6:30. I'm
Okay.
trying, but it's very hard to be honest. So first thing I try, in the weekly, at least 2 to 3 times, I try to go to the gym. Right, I have buy the subscription, but not able to go 5 days. And yeah, over there, sometimes I do the workout or yoga based on the classes over there. Then I try to practice meditation 10 to 15 minutes. So I think the Vipassana maybe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Meditation, right? So I
Yeah.
try to spend time 15 minutes at least on that. So it's all about like in the first 2 hours, you try to focus on in your body and mind, right? Then as the routine, as just mentioned, Nitin, the plan the days and just focus on your business strategy and teams and all the things, right? And if the time allows, then I try to read the books in the evening and the sleeping time. It's not a good idea, I know, but I try to read some pages. Yeah.
You will find lots of similarity in our daily routines that how we have been working with personal life as well in business.
Yeah.
So meditations, vipassana is something like we are practicing at home as well, or other in office. So my general routine is also that whenever I come to the office in my cabin, it's like 10 minutes is very fixed to that I do the anapan. Anapan is a kind of the practice of meditation. It's called vipassana.
It's focusing on the breathing.
Alternate nostril breathing, right?
It's not the exercise, basically it's a meditation. So
No,
that's
like alternate nostril breathing, like alternate you breathe from different. Is it that or that's different?
That's Anulom Vilom, I guess, whatever.
It's from
Okay.
yoga.
What is? Tell me a little bit more about Anapana.
Anapana is basically
By
the
way, do you
beginning
know
of
the Vipassana?
Vipassana.
Have you heard about that?
I haven't. Yeah, but I think it's more like a silent meditation, right? Vipassana, or
Yes.
okay.
Vipassana is basically 10 days of meditation course. Okay, and you have to be 100% silent. So
Correct.
Anapana is something like the beginner stage. Like it's like you have a small time, you have a very short time, and you want to perform something. Anapana is very, very quick to do. You can do it anywhere, whenever you found the peace, by the way. So
Interesting.
every always I have the peace in my office. Anapana is basically you just have to concentrate in your breathings. You just have to focus this part here. The breath comes in, breath comes out, and it gives you. I'm really fascinated to share that. I'm really connected to that. After 10 minutes, like, you will feel like you have lost somewhere, and you found lots of calmness in your mind. That's what I believe. Even Vipassana is something you need more time to feel in whole body, but Anapana is something like you can spend 10 minutes everywhere. Whenever you found a calm place, peace place, you can practice it
I
there.
think I just want to add, like Vipassana is founded by Buddha before 1,500 years ago, right? Maybe it's interesting for your audience to check out. There are a lot of sites and videos out there, right?
Yeah. No, I talk a lot about meditation in the podcast and my newsletter, Learn and Grow. And I've been practicing meditation for a long time. So I would, please share the Anapana if you have any YouTube video or something that kind of like talks about it or practice it. Because I also run a meditation. What's that?
We can take a video.
Yeah, you can take a video of Nitin, leading that. Yeah, that would be awesome.
It's very widely known. I mean, every country have the Vipassana center. So
I know. So when I moved to Austin, Texas, I live in Austin, Texas now. And when I moved here this year, 2024, one of my goal is, like one of the things that I do as a part of my annual planning is I focus on my growth trips. Growth trips are like I go for 5 to 10 days somewhere, just to focus on one item, like for example, meditation or reading or writing. So Vipassana is on my list of things to do in this year, and I'm looking for some places here in Austin. I have seen that there are a lot of Vipassana meditation centered. But yes, Nitin, when you have a chance, please share that Anapana meditation, Vipassana meditation, because you are right. Like a lot of people doesn't have a time to go out for 10 days and leave the business and family behind. But I think it's also important. There are a lot of other practices, smaller practices, easier practices that we can do in the comfort of our home and office and still get some benefit. Of course, like if you go for like 10-day Vipassana, you will have have a different benefit, but doing a 10-minute meditation at home also will yield some benefits. It's not something that so that's I would appreciate if you can share that. Now let's move on to, because there are a lot of things that I want to ask you, and I also want to be respectful with your time as well. But next question I want to ask you, you both mentioned about the books. So what is the one book that changed your life? I know we read a lot of different books, but if you just have to pick one book that changed your life in a significant way, what that book would be and why?
Okay, let's start for me. Like in reading, mostly my hobby is that I'm strongly interested with the history. History is my personal favorite subject. So whatever I found myself either watching movies or exploring culture or reading, which is mostly related with the history, that I found, by the way, I realized it after a couple of years that why my all the interest is going to the history. Then I realized, okay, history is something in my favorite subject.
World War.
Or something like that. So my personal favorite book, or like others say that it has changed me a lot, or rather I can say that whatever I am right now is also the one of the part because of the books. It's a native Gujarati book which was written by the a very known Indian writer. It's a Jabirchand Begani. The book is Soras Nirasdar. The story of Soras, kind of the translation is that. The book covers a lots of real life stories of the folk people, of rural people, and it explores the values of life. Okay, how you should be more ethical, how you should be more in character. Okay, how you should be more honest with your life, with everything. So the books gives me a lots of stuff in my, like, making my character as well, making my personality as well. Even I've looked at that like when I start the first route with the book in like 15 or 18 years before, I can see that the book has changed me a lot. Whatever I believe is right now is just because of that book. And
If you say what big change, so it's a book, right?
yeah,
that's true. I think you know the Bahar Vidya, right? Of the Shoras and all the stories. I think
it's more like the ethics, that how people will follow that.
Right.
The people with a rural background, they have done the lots of different things in their life. They achieved out of their scope. So it gives me always inspirations and motivations to do something. Whenever I found myself in trouble or like in a hectic time, I read just one chapter of that thing. It's basically a book of stories, like more than 100 or 200 stories. Real incidents, real stories, real events, by the way.
Right.
Okay. What about you, Sanjay?
Yeah, for the techies guys, obviously Steve Jobs. That's one of my favorite books because it's really inspired a lot. Even compared to the movies, it's really giving the boost of every chapter. And one of my favorite author, Osho, maybe you have heard about him.
I read a lot of books of Osho.
He wrote a lot of things. I think he was the only person who just gave the lecture and the people just text it and publish the book, right?
Yeah.
So there is one book called Krishna, the Man in His Philosophy. There was one huge lecture, and their publisher just write down each and every word he speak, right? But still, it's the number one seller in his writing. So that's true. I think I love very much.
No, there was some great recommendation, and those who doesn't know about the book that Nitin mentioned, Saurashni Rasdar, right? That's the book. Yeah. So Nitin and Sanjay and even I, we are originally from a state called Gujarat in India, and which is kind of like a western part of India, and the South Gujarat is considered as like a part of Gujarat where there are small towns and there are like very unique tribe and culture. And there is a city called Bhavnagar, and there are like, I think the whole south area is called Saurashtra, and there are like a bunch of different cities there. I think a lot of very famous people in India, Mahatma Gandhi, Sardar Patel, they are, I think, has some roots in Saurashtra. So that's the book that Nitin was referring to. Yeah.
And the book is also available in English and other languages as well.
I think Anil is reading Gujarati well. No problem.
I'm having a hard time actually. Since I moved to US, I'm now having a little hard time to put my thoughts in Gujarati because there is a lot of language switching.
Right.
So
Right.
I have to switch to Gujarati, and like when I talk to my mom, I talk with her in Hindi, and my nephew. So it's like a lot of language switching, and yeah, now it's I feel like it's a lot of work for my mind to kind of switch multiple languages in the conversation.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, so let's move to the next question. I want to hear from you about some productivity tips that you both have applied and helped a lot. So if there is any productivity tips that you want to share.
For productivity, I think your question is about how do I do the best productivity personally, right? Not the team, right?
No, personally, yeah. So personal level, like if there are any biggest productivity hack that help you save a lot of time and energy.
We both use one technique called 4D concept. There are D 4 times, so I will try to explain, right? First is do it. If there is something urgent, let's just do it, right? That's how the business person do. The second is the decide. Like if something is not urgent, then you can schedule it, like for the weekly or monthly, right? The third one is the delegate. That is like something you don't need to do because you can't do everything as an entrepreneur, right? You should use your team. Sometimes the people have mindset that I can do it better, but you should try to give it to the team, right? So they will learn it and they will do that thing, right? So that's a delegate. And the fourth is the delete. Like sometimes there are a lot of unnecessary things are there, like scrolling to social media, for example, right? So just delete those things to improve your productivity. So I want to again share, like, do it, decide it, delegate it, and delete it, right? So that's how we think about the productivity, right?
Yeah. No, I love that framework actually. Yeah, it's very powerful. And I think it's something that you can apply anywhere, right? Personal, professional, business, in any setup, this 4D concept will be very applicable.
Right.
Nice. Do you have any tips, Nitin? Productivity tips that you want to share?
In being productive, we both follow the same, or rather we learn from each other that how to be productive. I just want to add from my side, for one thing is that make a planning or the schedule which is more like achievable. Okay, to be productive, it's not like we always have the lots of things to do and daily and monthly and weekly basis. So you plan how you can measure your productivity, something like an achievable plan. Okay, like a realistic plan, actionable plan, which is you can have. Okay, I can do something here this 3 days. It's gonna be achievable. It's supposed not to be the idea. It's supposed not to be the concept. It's supposed to be actionable thing, the process related thing, which you can easily make it, and at the end you can see, okay, I have a progress on these other stuffs.
Nice. All right, so let's move on to the next question. And these are going to be more like a lightning round. So I'll try to ask a bunch of questions, and we'll try to keep it a short and quick answer, whatever first thought comes into your mind.
Okay.
Right. All right. So the first question is in regards to AI, like, how are you using the AI in your work and life, and just give some of the examples and tools.
Well, we are started using, or rather, it's AI is making a very big impact in our agency or day-to-day life. Is that we started using AI is for the content assistance. Okay, that's a bigger change, or rather, that's where the AI we have been using for different tools which are available to help to improve our writings in all the ways, like writing blogs, in conversation with the customers as well, or in certain levels of the conversation with the team as well, which is helping us a lot. That's where the AI tools we've been using. Of course, the ChatGPT is the productivity we are using for the content writing. And in my personal concerns, I'm more looking forward myself to start writing more in blogs. Okay, not in technical, but more in generalized or business related blogs. And I believe that AI, the tool ChatGPT is, of course, is helping us a lot to improve my writing on that case.
Right. Yeah, so content assistance is obvious everyone everyone use it, right? But in our agency, we are focusing on TYPO3 plus AI. That's our major goal. Like, we are the only agency who created a nice extension, and it's really getting popularity. So the point is that how what are your existing expertise? You can try to connect AI, right? Because there are endless possibilities, right? So I suggest that people should use from mail to technology everywhere, that should try AI. Of course, initially it may need some learning curve, like what you ask and what you get, right? Some people feel that it's wasting the time, right? But you should learn, like, what should you ask as a prompt, right? And for the coding perspective or any technology perspective, like in the WordPress, I think there are also people creating plugins for the AI, right? So good opportunities that we can improve our existing technologies and productivity, right?
Makes sense. So as of this recording of this podcast, this is January 2024. I'm not sure when we will get. I think it will be published in a few weeks, and when people will listen a lot of different times. So I'd like to mention when we are recording and when, right, in the time frame. So if I ask you both that, what was your biggest learning of 2023 from the last year? One big learning. What would you say?
Well, from my side, I had a visit to Germany in September to November, and I personally like working a lot with the German customers. I learn a lot more about how to understand the native, what the customer, because after the pandemic, after the corona, I had a chance to meet with the people, and I can see that the market and the thinking of the customers has been changing, what they are looking for from the agency, why they should work with us, because we have the language barrier. That's the biggest thing between German and India. Germany is more like for the Dutch-speaking, German-speaking areas, and we like mostly communicate with the English. So what my feeling goes from 2023 is that I understand the native persons. I understand the native market. In my recent visit to Europe from September to November, I understand more that what my customer is expecting. What is the fact is that. And that's one. And the second was learning is about the government side builder. I want to share more insight about that. The government has decided TYPO3 as their official CMS to develop all their products on that. That's the first change, or like it's a kind of a game changer. It's going to be for the TYPO3 world as well.
What is the amount they are going to spend?
And they are investing, I guess, 180 million euros in next 2-3 years just for the migrating every websites, every portal from XYZ portal to the TYPO3. That's what they're planning. So government side builder, I believe it's my biggest learning on 2023 when I visited Germany, and I met many government officials as well, big heads of the TYPO3 as well, that how this is going to be more implementing in our real life as well, how it's going to be changing the TYPO3 world, the agency who are working on TYPO3 as well, like next 3, 4, 5 years. That's how it's going to be very useful and very important thing which I learned from my visit, and that's the major thing I learned on 2023.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. What about you, Sanjay?
23 was I became father, so that was my first learning.
Oh, congratulations!
He's learning parenting.
That's the biggest learning goals from my end in the personal, right? And of course, AI. That was one of the biggest year for, as I mentioned in the last question, right? Then I also learned about the invest in finance, because we just focus on the business, but we don't know like how to reinvest or what are the best practices or places to become a investor, right? So that 3 to 4 things I learned very well in 23.
Nice. All right, last question, and then we'll try to land this somewhere. The last question is, in your life, who is your biggest inspiration in regards to either it can be peaceful growth, or it can be just growth and peace, or whatever the aspect that you feel inspired from. But who would be your inspiration?
Well, in my case, honestly, I do not have any exact role model. Or I do not follow anyone in that deep level. But the one problem is that which is inspiring me a lot, that how from the beginning, from the root, and he became the superstar of the Bollywood industry. It's a Shah Rukh Khan, the SRK. If I look at his lifestyle, how he started as a Delhi guy, and now he became the last superstar. What's his word is that he's the last of the superstars
of India.
Yeah. So I inspired a lot about his life, and what I like the most in his personality is that he's super witty. He has a lots of humor. Okay, he's very excellent in his communication. That's inspired me a lot to be more humorous, to be more witty in communications and the conversation with the person. In fact, his lifestyle.
Nitin is our Shah Rukh Khan of NITSAN. No, it's not about celebrity or something like that. It's all about personal, right?
Yeah, but how he started, he lost his parents at the younger age, and how he became a lot. That the person is inspiring a lot. His philosophy of life. So whenever I found something, I watch his video as well. I always found something new, something different in his clips, in videos, in his movies as well. Although I'm not a big fan of his movies as well.
Not acting.
Not acting as well, but his lifestyles, how he achieved the growth in his life, how he achieved the success in his life.
Right.
All right, let me add some context there. So the people who are not familiar with the Bollywood and the Indian cinema landscape. So SRK, Shah Rukh Khan is one of the Bollywood actor, and if you have watched any popular Bollywood movie, most likely you might have watched one or two movies of Shah Rukh Khan. So that's the one that Nitin has been referring to. What about you, Sanjay?
Yeah, my one is, it looks like a religion, but it's not like that, because Krishna is one of the god there of India, right? But I don't consider about the religion part, right? There are a lot of things are there, but in person to his personality, his thoughts, and his life, like start from the jail to born and create a palace for as a king. Right? So if you consider as a human, right, that there are, you can learn a lot of things from him for sure. Just forget about the Hindu religion, right? But think as a king, right? As an entrepreneur, whatever you want, it will fit Krishna, right? And of course, I follow a speech of Osho. There are a lot of speeches, right? It's not like I'm saying the characters but his speech, his thoughts is wonderful. So these two things I really inspire whenever I read or listen, right?
Krishna is a god, one of the mythical god in Hinduism and Hindu culture and in India. But also, Krishna is considered as one of the smartest, most intelligent strategists. So the kind of like the strategies that he was able to bring in the biggest the story and the war, a battle in Hinduism. It's called Mahabharata. So it's amazing too. There are a lot of even if you don't believe in like religion or God, there is still a lot to learn from him.
Being an entrepreneurship, if you try to understand the characteristics of Krishna, like leaderships are there, friendships are there, personalities are there, communication, a lot of things are there which you can learn from his life, right?
Right. Yeah. Great.
I'm sorry, I cannot tell you that you are the Krishna of our office.
No, not at all.
We're going to bring the flute here in our office as well.
Oh my goodness. Guys, it was such a fun to have you both here on this podcast. I had a great time, and it's a great honor and inspiration, especially because, as I mentioned in the beginning of the show, that you both pretty much like grew up in a slum, kind of like, very struggle with money and the proper lifestyle. But despite all the odds, you have built a successful business, and not only a successful business, but also like your decision to start this business in Bhavnagar and continue to grow in Bhavnagar and providing the employment in a small town, or I sometimes call it a village, like compared to a lot of big cities in India, I think Bhavnagar is a very small village. So you creating employment there, focusing on one of the content management system, TYPO3, which has the tiniest market share, but still it is creating an impact. So a lot of things that you have done, in my opinion, is very courageous, and is also very something that a lot of entrepreneurs they don't dare to dream and do things like what you have done. And I have a huge respect and admiration for everything that you have done. So yeah, with that being said, last thing I would say is, if you are listening to this podcast, and let's say if you're an agency owner doing WordPress or any other CMS, and if you ever get anyone asked you about a TYPO3 CMS or a TYPO3 project, I would highly recommend to check out Sanjay Nitin's business, NITSAN Technologies. What's your website?
It's nitsantech.com.
NITSANTech.com. And also another thing Sanjay said, like just type TYPO3 something and you will find most likely the NITSAN's one of the resources that they have published. So yeah, check them out. And if you have any TYPO3 related projects or inquiry from your customers, if not, then yeah, I would still recommend. They have an awesome culture too. I usually, when I scroll through my social media, I check out some of the culture, like the company events and their employees and team that celebrate different things. It's kind of like really fun to watch some of those things and take some inspirations. Guys, once again, thank you so much for your time today. You've been so generous, and I really had a great time talking to you and learning more about your story and sharing your story.
It's the same, Anil. It's been our honor that we come to your podcast, and thanks a lot. It's been a pleasure having a conversation with you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Of course. All right, everyone. So with that being said, we're going to close it out here. I'll see you all in the next episode. Thank you.
See you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay guys, so thank you for watching. Now if you are interested and would like to try this out for yourself, we offer a 30-day free trial of our Pro plan where you can test all the Multicollab features. So for this, all you have to do is click on the link in the description below, and this will bring you to this page, and under the Pro heading, simply click on this button here. Now simply enter a few details and that's it. You're ready to enjoy the Pro version of Multicollab for free for 30 days. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.